Mr. Gingrich, what is your reaction today to the president lifting the ban on offshore drilling?
Well, I think it's a very good step in the right direction, and I would hope that Congress would act before leaving for the August recess. When American families are paying $4 and $5 a gallon, the time has come to, as our petition says, drill here, drill now, pay less. We have over 1,300,000 signers at AmericanSolutions.com of that petition. And I think the president's now cleared the way, so there's no excuse. The only reason we don't have the opportunity in the Atlantic Ocean, the Eastern Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific, and for that matter, onshore looking at the Rockies, which have 3 times as much oil in the shale oil of the Rockies, 3 times as much as Saudi Arabia. The only reason we can't get to it right now is the Congress is failing to do its job.
Okay, let me ask you about that. So the president lifting this offshore drilling ban is really just one part of it. Congress has to act too. Are there the votes in Congress to push this thing through, and will we actually see this happen?
I think there are going to be the votes to push it through, because I think all over the country, as the American people are faced with absurdly high prices for oil, when they learn, for example, that the Brazilians have discovered 80 billion barrels in the Atlantic Ocean, and we're not even allowed to look. When they learn that we have 3 times as much oil in the Rocky Mountains as Saudi Arabia, and we're not allowed to develop it, I think that the average American thinks it's time for Congress to act. And I believe if Congress doesn't pass something before they go home, they're going to have a very hot August recess trying to explain it. Now,
okay, so you think that the political pressure is going to be awfully tough, and they, of course, got a real earful when they were home for the July 4th recess. But let me ask you about this. Critics say that this offshore drilling, or anything else for that matter, won't yield anything for years and years and years. How can it then help today if that is true?
Well, first of all, Martin Feldstein, who was President Reagan's chief economic advisor, pointed out that the market reacts to expectations of the future. And he predicted that if the United States made a commitment to developing its energy reserves, we would see a very rapid turnaround in prices, because the market would realize that there's going to be a lot more oil and gas in the United States. And in the second place, in the very short run, once we've made a commitment to long-term change, we could, in fact, sell some of the oil in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That would bring down prices immediately.
Yeah, but that gets us in a dangerous position to sell anything from that reserve.
Well, it's not a dangerous position if we started developing all of our other reserves. After all, if you could bring online reserves in the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Eastern Gulf of Mexico, and the Rockies, you wouldn't need a very big Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
Okay, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich and Fox